Well, it's that time again. It is January the 1st.
Yes, sir.
And every January the 1st, we go through the same motions. Every January 1st, we say we gonna lose that weight we done put on through Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so on January 1st, folks start signing up for gym memberships. They start giving away good money to gyms that they have no intention of ever actually going into. And they might go in 1, 2, 3 times at most, but by the time February, March rolls around, ain't nobody going to the gym no more. It is January 1st. We are at it again. One of the things that people like to take advantage of when they get these gym memberships is this piece of machinery called the treadmill. Treadmill is a very interesting piece of machinery because the treadmill allows you to simulate running or walking wherever you are. Now, I did some research and I discovered, just going to help some of y'all out who got them new gym memberships. Scientists suggest that if you are to use the treadmill, if you are a beginner, you should look to run or walk 1 to 2.5 miles. If you are intermediate, you should look to do 3 to 5 miles. And if you are advanced, you should look to do about 7.5 miles. I'm gonna help you out. If you're a beginner, most of us in that first category, you should be doing about 1 to 2.5 miles on that treadmill. If you're gonna hop on it, you might as well do it right. 1 to 2.5 miles, whether walking or running. Now, if you're intermediate, you in that middle area, you in somewhat good shape. They say get in about 3 to 5 miles on that treadmill. But if you really got it, like Brother Butler, you really got it. You can do about 7.5 miles. That's what they recommend. You get up there, you do about 7.5 miles. Now, that sounds wonderful. But my mind got to going. Y'all know me. My mind got to going because what does this have to do with Joseph? Well, whether you do 1 to 2.5 miles on the treadmill, or whether you do 3 to 5 miles on the treadmill, or if you even do above 7.5 miles on the treadmill, the one thing they all got in common is you ain't really go nowhere. Yeah, whether you did 1.5 miles or whether you did 7.5 miles, you're still in the same spot.
Yes, Lord.
Now, what this has to do with Joseph is Joseph has been moving a lot. See, from the time we meet Joseph, his brothers have thrown him into a pit. And they intended to kill him, but one of his brothers stepped in, intervened, and decided, let's just sell him into slavery. And so they pull him out of the pit and they sell him into slavery, and he finds himself in Potiphar's house. Things are going well for him in Potiphar's house. Y'all know the story. Things are going so well, he's running Potiphar's house. He comes in as a servant, but he's running the house. Things are going well, but there's always something. Potiphar's wife wasn't satisfied in her marriage. I don't know what Mr. Potiphar was doing or not doing, but the fact remains she was not satisfied in her marriage. And this brother Joseph was a young, strapping lad. He probably looked good, and his wife beat a tank top, and she was eyeing him one day. And she was like, I got to get me some JoJo. Well, she tries, but Joseph, being an integral man, he runs away, leaves his coat, unfortunately, and he is accused of rape. Joseph finds himself a part of the Me Too movement. Unexpectedly, he ain't do nothing.
Yes.
Potiphar throws him in jail. Now he's in prison. But in prison, this favor that's on his life starts to go to work, and the prisoner is now running the prison. He interprets a few dreams for some folks, and one of the guys he interprets the dreams for, unfortunately, he dies. But the other one, he gets up out of there. But before he gets up out of there, JoJo says, listen, I've been doing hard time for no reason. When you get up out of here, I need you to remember your boy. He says, sure enough, but y'all know how we do. We get blessed. We forget where we come from. We forget the folks who helped us to get blessed. And he forgets about it until an appointed time. Pharaoh has a dream, and no one can interpret the dream. None of his staff can interpret what it is that God is trying to communicate to Pharaoh through this dream. And then he remembers about Joseph. They call forth Joseph. Joseph interprets the dream, saves the nation, and he finds himself here. Joseph has been doing a whole lot of moving. But the problem is Joseph ain't really been going nowhere. And some of you are a lot like Joseph. That you've been doing a whole lot of moving through 2022, but the fact of the matter remains that you came into 2023 and you're still where you were in 2022. We have this bad habit of thinking that just because we're moving on, that we're moving forward. And the truth of the matter is, what Joseph is about to show us through this text is just because I've moved on does not mean I've moved forward.
My God.
But what I want to bless you with in this text is that he is now face to face with his childhood trauma. And Joseph decides, I'm getting off this treadmill today.
My God.
I wish you would just declare that over your life before I give you the title of this sermon. Say, I'm getting off this treadmill today. I would argue that you know that you're really moving forward when you face the thing that stopped you in your tracks.
My God.
And you can actually still keep moving. If I would give today's sermon a title, it would simply be Methods for Moving Forward. Methods for moving forward. Will you help your neighbor real quick? Say, neighbor. Today's sermon title is Methods for Moving Forward. That neighbor must still be stuck. Look across the room real quick and say, other neighbor. Pastor Mike gonna help us by giving us some methods for moving forward. How do I get off this treadmill that I found myself in? How do I get off of this rigmarole, this hamster wheel? How do I not just move on, but move forward? I want to give you 3 methods. If you're taking notes today, I want to give you 3 methods to move forward in 2023. 3 methods to move forward in 2023, because I don't know about you. I'm tired of doing a whole lot of moving, but not really going nowhere. It's something when you get promoted, but you still ain't really been nowhere. It's something when you get a raise at the job, but you still ain't really got nowhere. It's sad when you get a new boo, but you're still having the same problems because you really ain't go nowhere. You just dating the same person in a different body. It's something when you're moving around and you're moving on, but you ain't moving forward. 3 methods to move forward in 2023. Can I give y'all the first one? The first method to move forward in 2023, I believe this is going to bless you. If you're going to move forward in 2023, you have to announce who you are.
Come on, man.
Yeah. I thought I was going to get a little more, but it's all right. Don't give me no fake praise now. If you're going to move forward in 2023, one of the first things you're going to have to do is announce who you are. Some of y'all saying, Pastor Mike, you got to show me that in the text. Well, it's right there in verse 4. The text says, then Joseph said to his brothers, please come near me. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph. Do me a favor real quick. I want you to just say that. Say, I am Joseph. The first thing that happens here as his brothers have now come to face him, he's literally looking at childhood trauma eye to eye. He's looking at the people who threw him away. He's looking at the people who devalued him. He's looking at the people who did not think his life was worth anything. He's looking face to face at the people who were jealous of him. He's looking at the people who could not stand him. He's looking at the people who should have loved him but could not love him. He's looking face to face at the people who have ruined his childhood. He's looking face to face at the people who have cost him the last 22 years of his life. And he says to them, I am Joseph. Now, that bothers me because I can think of a whole lot of other things I would want to say to them. If you just cost me 22 years of my life, there's some things I want to say to you that I can't say in church.
My Lord.
There's some things I want to say to you that would have y'all ready to take my collar back.
Yeah.
There's some things that I want to say to you that y'all would never allow me in this pulpit to get 22 years. Listen, I don't even like folks to waste 22 minutes of my life, let alone 22 years. He is looking at the people responsible for the last 22 years of pain, the last 22 years of torment, the last 22 years of disappointment, the last 22 years of hurt, the last 22 years of trauma. He's looking at them eye to eye, and he declares, I am Joseph. Now, I have some questions about that. God, why is he telling them his name? Because first of all, these are his brothers. Why does he have to tell his name to his brothers?
Yeah.
Well, the first reason he had to tell his name to his brothers is because his brothers thought he was dead.
My God.
His brothers thought he was dead. Can I help y'all? The reason you got to announce yourself in 2023, because there's some folks that thought you was dead in 2022. The reason you got to announce yourself in 2023, because there's some folks, they know where they left you, and they can't recognize you now because of where you are. See, the reason he has to tell them his name is because they cannot recognize his new nature. Because the last time they saw him, he was crying. The last time they saw him, he was heartbroken. The last time they saw him, he was screaming for his life. The last time they saw him, he didn't know what he was going to do or how he was going to get out of the situation. The last time they saw him, he was a slave that was sold. And now they're looking at him eye to eye. And he says, listen, I know you don't recognize me because I'm no longer where you left me. But I am Joseph. I know you thought I was dead, but baby, I am Joseph. I know you thought I was broke, but I am Joseph. I know you thought I was depressed, but I am Joseph. I know you thought that diagnosis was going to take me out, but baby, I am Joseph. Some of y'all need to call your doctor tomorrow and say, I am Joseph. He has to announce himself because they thought he was dead. But not only does he have to announce himself because they thought he was dead, he has to announce himself because I did a little homework. I don't like to just take a section of the text, but I go read the whole story. And when I went back a few chapters, I noticed something that I didn't notice before. The reason he decides to announce his name to them is because the last time he saw his brothers, they were not calling him by his name. The text says, go back to the beginning of Joseph's story. Joseph is told by his father, if I remember correctly, go find your brothers. And he goes looking for his brothers, and all his brothers are together. And the text says they see him in the distance. And what they say is not, here comes Joseph. They say, here comes that dreamer.
Come on, man.
The last time Joseph was in the presence of his brothers, they act like they ain't know his name.
Yeah.
Now, why would they not call him by his name? Well, y'all know me. I like to understand the etymology of a thing. And so I looked up the meaning of the name Joseph, and I discovered that the name Joseph means increase.
My God, increase.
Okay, the reason some of y'all got to announce yourself in 2023, because there's some folks that gave you some nicknames trying to get you off course of what God has called you to be. Joseph says, the devil is a lie. I'm not the dreamer no more. I am Joseph. And listen, if you're not going to call me by my name, don't call me at all. In 2023, call me. Can I preach from the gospel of Destiny's Child? Say my name, say my name. My name means increase. And if you're going to walk with me into 2023, baby, you better know my name. If you're going to call my name, call my name. What if I told you that there are people who nickname you because they know the power of your real name? And the reason some of us have been stuck is because we've been answering to names that are less than the name that God has given us. And we've allowed people to nickname us, and they have nicknamed us out of God's blessings over our life. Look at your neighbor real quick, say, no nicknames in this season. If you want to move forward in 2023, there's some names you got to let go. Listen, I'm not answering to Pookie, Dookie, or Mookie. Say my name. Because there's power in my name. And one thing you'll know about the Bible is that anytime you were named with a purpose, and oftentimes your name spoke to the destiny. And one of the quickest ways the enemy will get you off course is by renaming you. So Joseph is now standing in the presence of those who tried to abort his destiny. And he says, you tried it. But if you're going to go with me forward into this next season, either call me by my name or don't call me at all. His name means increase, but they refuse to call him by his name. Let me see if I can make this plain. What I love about being born in this generation is that we have what we call smart devices. Smart devices go beyond just your smartphone, but they have these little smart devices that you can put on your counter. And if you call out to the smart device, it will respond and do whatever you tell it to do. One of them is named Alexa. If you have an Amazon account, you can sync this smart device via your smartphone, via your Wi-Fi connection. And even if your phone is, way in the other room somewhere, you can say, hey, Alexa, call such and such. Or if you want to listen to a little music, but your phone is a little out of the way or your hands are tied up in something, you can say, hey, Alexa, turn on Pandora and play this station. Whatever you need Alexa to do, she'll do. But I noticed there's a catch to Alexa. That Alexa will only respond if you say her name. No, don't, before you get excited, don't miss the revelation. Here's the thing though. Alexa is always recording. Don't miss it. Alexa is always recording. Now that's interesting because that means Alexa's always listening. Alexa's always listening, but Alexa ain't always responding.
My God.
And I think some of us need to be Alexa in 2023.
Lord help me.
That I hear what you're saying,
Yes, sir.
but I ain't responding to everything.
Yes, sir.
I heard what you said about me,
My God.
but I ain't responding
Come
to
on,
it.
work on it.
I heard what you called me,
Come on, land it, man.
but I ain't responding to it. I know what you spoke over my life, but I ain't responding unless you say my name. I ain't paying you no mind. And the reason some of us can't move forward is because we're spending so much time answering to names that are less than the name that God has called us to. And by the time God finally calls our name, we so preoccupied with everything that everybody else has called us that we ain't got nothing left for God.
My God, that's a good word.
If you're going to move forward in 2023, you better announce yourself. I've come to the conclusion that Joseph is not just announcing himself for those around him, but I even believe Joseph was announcing it for himself. Yeah. See, in 2023, some of us got to remind ourselves who we are. Yeah. Because we've been responding to what everyone has called us for so long that if you're not careful, you'll forget who you really are. Yes, folks been calling you crazy so long that you just accepted you crazy. Folks been calling you broke so long you just accepted that you just gonna be broke. Folks been calling you dumb for so long you just accepted that maybe you're not the brightest crayon in the box. But the devil is a lie. In 2023, I'm announcing who I am, not just for you, but I'm announcing it to remind myself of who I am. Some of y'all need to show up, look in the mirror and say, allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Joseph. I know I used to look in the mirror and think I was ugly, but baby, I'm beautiful. I know I used to look in this mirror and think I wasn't smart, but I'm intelligent. I know I used to look in this mirror and think I wasn't anointed, but I am appointed by God. I used to look in this mirror and disqualify myself, but I'm requalifying myself today. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Joseph. If you're going to move forward in 2023, you got to announce who you are. But not only that, if you're going to move forward in 2023, it's going to be a tough one, Bishop. Pray for me. Yes. You're going to have to address what happened.
My God. God, you hit me, sir. You hit me, sir.
You're going to have to address what happened. Yeah. This one's going to make me sweat. You're going to have to address.
Yes, sir. Help us.
Okay, let me help y'all. Say this with me. I'm going to have to address what happened. I know you don't like conflict, but you're going to have to address what happened. I know you don't like making people uncomfortable, but you're going to have to address what happened. Some of y'all saying you got to show me that in scripture. Well, Joseph not only announces himself, he says, I am Joseph. But then he said, I'm the one you sold into Egypt. Imagine how uncomfortable that confrontation was. In fact, you don't even have to imagine because the text after that says that they were so shook they didn't know what to say. I'm the one you sold into Egypt. I'm the one you touched inappropriately when I was a child. I'm the one you took my life savings and left me with nothing. I'm the one you got pregnant and walked out on. My God. I'm the one who you tried to keep my child away from me for all those years, telling them that I'm somebody that I was not. I'm the one you lied to. My God, who lied? Thank you, Jesus. Joseph addresses what his brothers did to him. Now, here's the thing, though. Joseph does not bring this up to make them feel bad. Joseph understands that they cannot move forward until they close the door to where they've been. The one thing keeping some of us from moving forward
Yes, Lord.
is that we won't address some things.
Lord, you're right about it. You're right about it.
And when we do address it, can I help y'all?
Yes.
We don't revisit, we relive.
Woo! My God, that's good right now. Lord, you have
Y'all making me work today.
No, God knows you plow.
We don't revisit, we relive. What I respect about Joseph is he does not relive it, he revisits it. Now, what's the difference? Well, when you revisit a thing, you just go back past it.
Yeah.
But when you relive a thing, you start unpacking in that thing. Woo. And you can tell somebody that keeps reliving a thing because when it comes up, they start unpacking in that thing. They start moving in on that thing. They won't move on, they move in that thing. They begin unpacking in that thing and they begin getting comfortable in that thing. And you sitting there, you feeling real awkward now because you oversharing some stuff now, but they're reliving that thing. Joseph says, no, we're not going to relive this. We're going to revisit it. I'm not coming to unpack. Watch this. I'm coming to lock up. And in 2023, there's some things you're going to need to revisit. Don't relive it. You're just going to have to revisit for the sake of flipping the switch, turning the lights off, and locking the door. Yes. Now, he's revisiting this thing. He's addressing what happened. Thank you so much. He's addressing what has happened. Now, I'm wrestling with this thing. If, his brothers are here and he has this opportunity to really rub their noses in it, why is he not rubbing their noses in it? And it just shows the maturity of Joseph. That Joseph has decided, I've lived here long enough. But what I also love about Joseph is he says, y'all have lived here long enough too. My God. My God. And it takes a very mature person to not only move yourself out of trauma, my God, but to move your traumatizer out of the trauma.
My God. Lord, that's good.
You want to show me you really got Jesus? Don't just get yourself delivered. Help the one who messed you up get delivered.
My God. Yes, sir. Woo.
2023 going to be a good year.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Joseph says, I want to invite you all to revisit this moment. Watch this. Because we need an address to send this to. Okay, let me see if I can make this plain. When you drop mail in the mailbox, there's two pieces of information that are required. There's your address and the address you want to send it to. And if either of them are missing, it creates a conflict for the Postal Service. Now, one of them isn't as important. Your address, they really don't care about. I mean, it's good to have, just in case anything happens, but they can still make it happen without yours. But the one they can't make it happen with is your recipient. Yeah. See, if you put your address up there, but you don't put their address up there, what's going to happen is they might take it, just not paying no attention, but it's going to always come back to you. Because mail that does not have an address cannot be delivered. Can I tell you why some of y'all keep going up in prayer lines year after year after year? Because you ain't got no address.
My God.
You got a whole bunch of issues that you're trying to get delivered from. But you ain't giving God no place to deliver it to.
Say so.
The Bible says, confess your faults one to another. Watch this, that you may pray and be healed.
You know something.
The effectual fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much. The problem is we telling everybody to pray about stuff, but we ain't confessing nothing.
Lord have mercy.
And Joseph says, listen, before we leave out of here, I need y'all to remember, I remember what y'all did to me. See, I have forgotten I have not forgotten what you've done, but I've forgiven what you've done.
My God.
Which kind of raises a question. Can you forgive and not forget? Can you forgive and forget? Is that a possibility? We'll wrestle with that in a little bit. But he says, I need you to understand that I remember what you did to me. But here's the difference. I'm not carrying this mail any further.
My God.
And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to give you an opportunity to send that thing back to where I'm sending mine. Some of you are going to have some hard conversations in 2023, not to rub their noses in it, not to make them feel bad about it, not to cause awkward Thanksgiving moments at the table, but you're going to have to bring these things up. You're going to have these conversations, because what you're doing is saying, God, this is where you need to send my trauma to. God, this is where I'm sending my bad attitude to. God, this is where I'm sending all the walls that I've built up. God, this is where I'm sending all the toxic traits. Some of y'all need to go home, fill out an envelope, and write where God needs to deliver that thing. Some of y'all need to deliver it to that bedroom from when you were a child. Some of you need to deliver that thing to the last bad relationship that you was in. Some of y'all need to write a letter to your old place of employment. Some of y'all might have to write a letter to your old pastor. Wherever the trauma happened, you need to have a place by which to send that thing back to, because that's the only place you're going to get your deliverance.
My God, Lord, help me.
Mail, if it does not have an address, cannot be delivered. And the problem with some of us, we keep finding ourselves in cycles because the mail keeps getting delivered back to us.
My God, you're talking right.
All because we won't have a conversation.
My God.
Joseph could have been like, you know what? I'm just glad to have my brothers back. I ain't going to say nothing. No. He said, because if I don't address it now, it'll come up again.
Yes, sir.
And watch this. I love my brothers enough to give them the same opportunity. We're going to talk about this, but I ain't going to beat you up. We're going to talk about this because both of us going to get delivered right now.
Right.
You did something you shouldn't have done, and something happened to me that shouldn't have happened to me, but both of us need to be free.
Yes, sir. My God on high.
If you're going to move forward in 2023, you got to announce who you are, but you also got to address what happened. No matter how uncomfortable it may make you, no matter how uncomfortable it may make them. If you love them, don't just get free yourself.
Yes.
Help them get free. Now, same token, what they do with it, that's their business. But you at least extend the invitation. Somebody say, I'll revisit, but I refuse to relive it. If you're going to move forward in 2023, the next thing you got to do is absolve all other parties. Absolve all other parties. Y'all must know what that word absolve means, because I didn't even get an amen. Absolve all other parties. A-B-S-O-L-V-E. Absolve all other parties. Verse 5 says, and now don't be grieved or angry with yourselves for selling me here. Joseph tells the people who have caused him pain, don't be in pain. He tells the people who have hurt him, don't be hurt. He tells the people who have disappointed him, don't be disappointed. He tells the people who let him down, don't let yourselves down. He says, don't be grieved and don't be angry for selling me here. Now, this is tough. This is tough. And I can tell it's tough because some of y'all are thinking real hard right now.
Yes, sir.
What is Pastor Mike about to tell me to do? I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to like what I'm about to tell you to do. Joseph tells his brothers, don't condemn yourself. Now that made me wonder, why is he telling them not to condemn themselves? How can he even do this? Well, Joseph can tell them not to condemn themselves because what he's saying is, I no longer condemn you. He says, forgive yourselves because I've forgiven you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The reason I ain't getting too many amens is because some of y'all can't tell nobody to forgive themselves because you ain't really forgave them.
My God, you got it.
What Joseph says in essence is, let it go because I've let it go. Something we don't teach about forgiveness is what it really means. Forgiveness, I think, has become this word in church that we just throw around, but we don't really understand the magnitude of forgiveness. And when you look at the definition of the word forgiveness, I think the one that we should really focus on, is the releasing of debt.
My God, help me.
Crickets.
Yeah, Lord.
We don't like that word. The releasing of debt. To forgive somebody is to release them of the debt you feel they owe you.
My Lord.
Okay, so in essence, me saying I forgive you is not just me verbalizing that I forgive you. When I say I forgive you, what I'm saying is what I feel you owe me, you don't owe me anymore.
Okay. That's good right there. That's good.
Joseph says, y'all owe me 22 years of my life, but don't sweat it. I've released the debt. Can I tell you what's stopping some of us from moving forward in 2023?
Come on, help us.
We're trying to pay for our destiny with the debts other people owe us.
Woo, woo. Good Lord, I pray. Lord Jesus, Lord God Almighty. Yes, sir, you got some of them. Lord, you.
We're trying to pay for our destiny with the debt we feel other people owe us.
Jesus Christ. Help us.
Let me help you out.
Yes, sir, you helping us.
You know, I can't get this business started because Ray still owe me $2,000. And if I had that $2,000, I could go get my business license right now and I can make that thing happen.
Ray gone.
Ray gone. I ain't never gonna find my husband because of what my daddy did to me when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
I can't trust no man because I couldn't even trust my own daddy. And so my husband don't stand a chance.
Yes, sir. Come on, you right about it.
Oh, I can't treat women good because my mama didn't treat me good. And so now every woman I see, I equate them to my mama. Yeah. And so I can't trust them. And I build these walls up and I'm trying to pay for my destiny with debts I feel other people owe me, and mama dead and daddy dead and Ray done moved across town. They not gonna pay you back, and I don't know who I'm talking to on today, but you don't have to pay for your destiny with old debts. The Bible lets me know that over 2,000 years ago, Jesus was hung up on a cross, and he said it is finished, which means whatever happened to me is done. Whatever they said about me is done. Whoever held up my progress, it's done. Jesus paid it all. I refuse to hold up my destiny waiting on you to come back for something you might not have yourself.
That's right.
Joseph says, I've let the debt go. Yes. And I'm getting off this treadmill today. Because watch this. Joseph is the vice president of Egypt, but he recognized that God wants to do more for him than what he already has. What's messed up about some of us is that God has blessed us in spite of the unforgiveness.
Yes, sir.
And so we've gotten comfortable there. And God is saying, I ain't even started to bless you the way I really want to bless you yet. But you still holding on to this unforgiveness, and you can have so much more, but you've gotten comfortable in this place of unforgiveness. Just because you got a promotion don't mean that's all I have for you. Just because you reached the top of your career don't mean that's all I have for you. Just because you got a good boo today don't mean that's the boo I really want for you. You could have so much more, but you're holding on to a debt that you may never get, and you're settling for a life that is less than what God has for you.
My God on time.
I discovered that athletes do this exercise called the tire drag. What's interesting about the tire drag is they take this like tractor-sized wheel and they chain it to themselves and they run. Now that don't make sense to me. Why would I put a heavy weight behind me and try to run?
Yes, sir.
Because to put a heavy weight behind me slows me up from getting to where I want to go. Yeah. That just don't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. Now, as it don't make sense in the natural, it don't make sense emotionally either. Because some of you are holding on to weights of unforgiveness. You're holding on to weights of disappointment. You're holding on to weights of an apology that you may never get. You're holding on to weights for folks to come back into your life that are far gone out of your life. You're holding on to weights and you're trying to run and you're wondering why you're moving, but you're not moving forward. It's because you've changed yourself to something that is weighing you down. But can I tell you that I got good news today? I discovered that though they chain this weight to them, this huge wheel, it slows them down in that season, but it speeds them up in the next. We serve a God who will allow you to go through life with a weight, And when you finally release the weight, you'll start moving forward faster than you ever imagined you could. I hear the Lord saying to someone on this morning, I'm redeeming the time. The thing that actually held you up all those years is the same thing that's going to propel you into the future I have waiting for you. And I don't know who I'm talking to on today, but you've been carrying weight for far too long. And the good news is the weight that the enemy allowed you to chain yourself to destroy you is the same weight that God is going to use to bless you supernaturally in this season. That weight that kept you out of good relationships for so long is going to expeditiously move you into a healthy relationship. That weight that had you hanging around the same people for so long is going to propel you into the company of good folks. That weight that kept you from moving in ministry the way God wanted you to move into ministry is going to have you as the senior pastor of somebody church in the next season. I don't know who I'm helping on today, but that weight that the enemy wanted to use to destroy you is the same weight that God was using to develop you the whole time. But the only way you can move forward is you have to absolve all other parties. So if you anything like I used to be, I'm delivered now, but if you're anything like I used to be, I didn't answer the phone calls of debt collectors. Yeah, if I knew I owed you something, I'm not answering that phone, because I never had the impression that if I answered that phone, that the conversation would go good. I never expected that if they were calling me, that they were calling to let the debt go. If they was calling me, they was calling to collect on what it is they was trying to give me. But I dare you to do something that the debt collectors will not do. I dare you to leave out of here and call some folks and let them know I'm letting it go. I dare you to call some old family members. Some of y'all cringed right there. I dare you to call some old family members when you leave here and say, listen, we've been estranged for too long. I'm letting it go. Can I meet you for lunch? Am I going to see you at the family reunion this year? Can we have a conversation? I'm letting it go. What I think you owe me, you don't owe me no more. I know I've been waiting on an apology, but if I never get the apology, listen, I just want us to spend the rest of this time reconciling and working through whatever it is that kept us away from each other. Some of y'all would have to call some old friends, because the truth of the matter was they was good friends. Y'all just fell on bad times. Listen, I'm letting that thing go. We've been friends since elementary school, and we let one situation mess us up. I'm going to be the bigger person in this season. I'm letting that thing go, because the truth of the matter is, for most of us, the debt that we're charging them doesn't even fit the infraction. My God. We hate when debt collectors charge us interest, but who are you charging interest on for what they did to wrong you? If we're going to move forward in 2023, we have to absolve all other parties. Now, I know I said I had 3. Like a good spades hand, I got a possible. I'm going to try my luck with this one, because y'all ain't seem to like the first 3. So let's try this 4th one. If you're going to move forward in 2023, you got to announce who you are. If you're going to move forward in 2023, you got to address what happened. If you're going to move forward in 2023, you have to absolve all, somebody say all other parties. I know that's going to be a tough one to walk out, but I'm going to give you this possible. Let's see how this works. If you're going to move forward in 2023, you have to acknowledge God's hand in the situation. I guess I'm back in the church now. Acknowledge God's hand in the situation. Verse 5, he says, you sold me into Egypt, but that wasn't all that was happening. It all happened. Don't beat yourself up, because God sent me ahead of you to preserve life. He says, you throwing me in the pit and me being sold to Potiphar's house and me ending up in prison, that was all for God to work his purpose out. Even though you caused me a bunch of problems, it was all working together for God's purpose. That even though you caused me all this pain, it was working together for God's purpose. Now, I thought I would get a few amens on that, because some of us have been through some things that were devastating. Some of us have been through some things that we thought was going to take us out. But what if I told you that the worst moment in your life was at the same time the best thing that could have happened to you. Because if you actually look back over your life, it was a point in time where divinity touched the deviancy of the person that was persecuting you. That God was allowing that moment to happen to actually set you up for what it is he really wanted you to do. If Joseph had never gone through everything he went through, he would not be positioned where he is. And so he tells his brothers, I see what your hands did, but I also see what God's hand did. And if we're going to move forward in 2023, no matter what we face, we have to stop looking at what their hands are doing to us and see what God's hand is doing for us. I'm going to see if I can make this plain and we're going home. There's a show that comes on in the UK called Tattoo Fixers. Tattoo Fixers is a show where people bring bad tattoos to the greatest tattoo artists in the UK to try to fix. I wouldn't recommend you watch all the episodes because some folks got some really messed up tattoos. Some things I can't even say from the pulpit. But they come into this tattoo parlor with these tattoos that other tattoo artists have messed up. And they hope that these tattoo artists can fix. One guy was watching the episode, he came in, and how many of you have ever seen that movie Dumb and Dumber? Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey. And in that movie, Jim Carrey has this really crazy bold cut and this chipped tooth. Well, for whatever reason, the guy got Jim Carrey tattooed on his thigh in character from Dumb and Dumber. But it looked horrible. Didn't even look like Jim Carrey. Whoever did it just messed it up.
My Lord.
He comes in, and there's two tattoo artists that look at it. One of them says, I don't even know where to begin, to be honest with you. I don't know if we can even fix this. This is just bad. He actually has some other choice words, but I can't repeat them from the pulpit. But his first response was actually an expletive that I can't repeat. And he said, I don't know if I can do anything with that. But there was another tattoo artist that started squinting at it. And he turned his head a little bit, and he grabbed his pad, started sketching. He was looking at it, started sketching. Kept looking at it, started sketching. And he said, I think I got it. So he puts the man in the chair, and he won't let the guy see what he's doing, but he's working, and he's working, and he's working, and he's going at it for some time. He's working, and he's working. And finally he finishes. And the guy stands up, and he walks him over to the mirror. And he took this horrible face and turned it into a Black Panther. And the guy's looking at it, and he's blown away. Because the Black Panther is fully covering what was there. The tattoos artist's masterpiece covered the last person's mess up. I came here today to tell somebody that in the right hands, no matter what their hands have done to you, if you put it in the master's hands, his hands can make right what their hands have messed up. And as we go into 2023, listen, I promise you, you're going to probably find yourself in the wrong hands. That there's going to be people who are going to mishandle you. There's going to be situations that are going to mishandle you. But I need you not to focus on what their hands are doing to you. I need you to look that situation in the face. I need you to look that person in the face and say, I see what your hands are doing to me, but I also see what his hands are doing for me. I see that what you're trying to mess up, my God can make right. And is there anybody here who can testify that I don't look like what I've been through? Because no matter what their hands did to me, God's hands were always doing something for me. That when their hands were trying to destroy me, his hands were developing me. When their hands was causing me problems, his hands were molding me in purpose. Come here, potter's wheel. That when I came broken, he molded me back and made me beautiful. And I don't look like what I've been through because I went out of their hands and put myself in his hands. And I don't know who I'm talking to on today, but as we go into 2023, I need you to release yourself from their hands and trust yourself in his hands. Acknowledge God's hand in the situation. I know it hurt, but can you see his hands? I know it's disappointing, but do you see his hands? I know it was unexpected, but do you see his hands? And the problem is we spend so much time looking at their hands that we miss his hands. And if you're going to make it forward in 2023, I need you to look at the hands that actually matter. And that's the hands of the master. Joseph gets to this point in his life. He's looking at his childhood trauma and he says, listen, I'm tired of just moving on. In this season, I'm moving forward. But I need us to be like Joseph. Let's not just move forward ourselves.
Hallelujah.
But be prepared to help someone else move forward. Watch this. Even if they're the one that held you back. You want to prove to me you really got Jesus? Jesus is on the cross dying.
Yes, Lord.
And they're still mocking him. They're still making fun of him. They're still jeering him. And Jesus does something interesting. He says, Father, forgive them. For they know not what they do. That even in that moment, Jesus says, I'm not just going to get up out of here and go to the Father. I'm going to offer an opportunity for you to go to the Father with me. And there's too many of us that are chasing our deliverance and leaving folks behind as though the grace of God is only good for us and not good for the one who did it to us. If you're going to move forward in 2023, I need you to announce who you are. I need you to announce it to those around you, but I also need you to announce it to yourself. Because the truth of the matter is, some of us have believed the hype of other people for too long. And God is saying, I need you to remember who I called you to be. I need you to remember what I named you. And I need you to tell the folks around you, as I'm going into 2023, either call me by my name or don't call me at all. If you're going to go with me forward in 2023, I need you to put some respect on my name. Shout out to Birdman. If you're going to move forward with me in 2023, I need you to know who I am, and I also need to know who I am. If you're gonna move forward, you got to address what happened. Yes, Lord. Some of y'all gonna have some awkward phone calls. Yes, Lord. Some of y'all gonna have some awkward text exchange. My Lord, yes. Some of y'all gonna have some awkward slides into some DMs. My Lord. But you gotta address it. Because until you do, it's gonna keep coming back delivered to you. And I don't know about you, but my Bible says, whom the Son set free is free indeed. And so in 2023, I'm getting delivered of everything. Yes, Lord. I'm having the tough conversation. Yes, Lord. And if they don't want to have it, that's cool, as long as I got an address to send my issues back to. Right. But I'm willing to share that address with them as well. You're going to have to absolve all, somebody say all other parties. Which means I'm not waiting on you in 2023 to bring me an apology to move forward. Right. I'm not waiting on you in 2023 to pay me that money back to move forward. I'm not waiting in 2023 for you to come have a conversation with me. No. I'm absolving you of that. Yes. The debt that I think you owe me, Jesus paid it all, and I'm good with that. One thing, I'm to a place in my life where I hope folks can't pay me back no more. Only because I know God can pay me back so much better than you. Yeah. You pay me back, it's going to have stipulations. You pay me back, it's going to have limitations. Yes. But when God pays me back, he opens up the windows of heaven and pours me out of buckets I don't have room enough to receive. I wish somebody would say, I hope they can't pay me back. Because God pays back bigger. And I need you to acknowledge God's hands in every situation. Stop looking at what the hands are doing to you and focus on what the hands are doing for you.